And today we're going to talk about metabolic health. And of course, my favorite topic is energy and all about how we produce this energy and regenerate mitochondria. And it's called exposure and how it's affecting our mitochondria and energy production. So why cold exposure matters? Now, first of all, we experience cold exposure nearly every single day. We have a difference between day and night. We have seasonal differences, summer and winter, and they need us to boost our metabolism. We need it to burn our fat tissue. We need to summer to restore this fat tissue. So literally, we need these changes in temperatures for our metabolism to be flexible, because in winter we have less nutrition and our organism switch from using carbs to burning our fat. But we changed it in the past 70 years approximately, when we start to produce ultra-processed food. We start to produce much more sugar, and we get overload with production of this nutrition. We have food every single winter time. We're using the strawberries and raspberries, and absolutely unexplainable why. It's debatable as well than advertised to use fruits, for example, every single day, because by the nature it's not designed. If you're not living in Africa, for example, in very hot countries, for some people, using fruits every single day might be not that good idea. So we're all different. We need to understand, and they need to shape us and put ourselves into the right exposure to live longer. And what's suitable for you, we're going to search together with my lectures, and together with cold exposure, we're going to discuss if the cold exposure is right for you and how to make cold exposure safe. So we already discussed that it's crucial, and human being exposed to the nature, and this cold exposure shaped us and shaped our metabolism. So we need it. They need it to stay healthy. It's providing us living hours longer, is helping us to produce more energy, it's keeping us warm, and we have plenty of researches that cold is stress, and stress of course increasing our cortisol level, but also make our organism flexible. So it's starting a lot of different processes. Hormonal changes, is stimulating thyroid glands, is stimulating increasing a little bit cortisol level, it's making us more alert, it's making us thinking better how to be in shelter and improve our being a safer place, if you like, because when it's too cold, it's too cold, but it's naturally for us to be exposed to cold. So that's why it's a cold exposure. It's a double-edged. A little bit of cold is great and beneficial, and it's switching our metabolism. Yes, in winter we have one metabolism because it's much colder, and our organism adapting to that. And in summer they have slightly slower metabolism because it's much hot environment. And what we're going to do in the autumn, late summer, we eat a lot of fruits, and as a result, increasing triglyceride level, and they're getting fatter, they're getting bigger. In autumn time is harvesting, we have so much fruits and vegetables, and they eat them so much, and they put in this extra weight for winter. In the winter time, what we're going to do, we're going to burn this fat for energy and survive till greenery time, well, at least it was for millions of years. And not only for us, for animals as well. So what happened to mitochondria? Because mitochondria matters the most. Mitochondria is in the cells producing organelle that producing ATP, is a currency of energy, but also they have this UCP1, or uncoupling protein 1, in mitochondria, this special, I would say, protein that helping produce us energy. So mitochondria, instead of producing too much ATP energy, they're producing energy for heat, so heating us, our body, and it's slightly different protein. When we born babies have a lot of brown fat. in one of my lectures, I talk about brown fat, but they getting older, baby losing this brown fat because the baby needs to warm up the body, the metabolism not yet proper, they don't have enough microbiome is not formed yet, and baby need this fat and a lot of brown fat cells to produce this energy and keep him warm. So that's why overdress your baby probably not the best idea, because it's produced so much heat already, so you can actually overheat your baby. So we know well that the baby is actually quite temperature is resistant, and they don't like when it's too hot because they are protected by nature. But they get older, they of course losing this fat, we getting more, we have more muscles, and the shivering, yeah, and when we shiver, it's a cold like this, and produce more energy from the muscle, or as well, if we keep beige fat cells, and the brown fat cells actually living only in this chest area. So this is the main location for adults, and all other areas, brown fat disappears. So what it does when we explode ourselves to the cold temperatures, our white fat cells start getting more mitochondria, and these UCP1 or uncoupling protein 1, they helping produce more heat. So yeah, it is not, they're not getting much more brown fat cells, they're still staying in the chest to protect the chest and the heart area, but we're producing and moving from the white fat cells to the brown fat cells, yeah? And it's quite, it's a great process, so that's why this lean and slim people, trained people, they're fine in the cold temperatures comparison to people with, I would say, with more fat bad, but they actually might be less, producing less heat comparison to the lean trained individuals. And of course, that is not only producing energy and the heat, are also helping control well-being of mitochondria, because when it's getting cold, the mitochondria start to compete. And of course, as any other mitochondria stimulating and energy stimulating procedure, longevity procedures, yeah, it's helping to destroy our cells, yeah, and stimulate new mitochondria. So cold exposure stimulates mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria, and also enhance mitochondrial efficiency. So they're producing more energy and they're producing more heat. It's initiate mitophagy, so it's removal of the old mitochondria, so the bad or damaged ones. So as we discussed, we have white, gray, and black. So the black one already dead one, but sometimes they're sitting in, taking the space. So we get decluttering of black mitochondria, and the gray one, swollen, already semi-disabled as well. They might be the same, get uncoupled, they get kicked out, and then they get consumed, they get out. So because when human organism under the stress, and cold temperature is some sort of stress, and control stress is super good, we need to control it. And today's lecture is all about how to control it, to make sure you don't overuse it, to have the benefits for your health, not damaging your health, not even death. Sadly, there is a lot of deaths, not a lot of deaths, but I heard sadly of some young individual deaths, and I want to talk as prevention. These deaths shouldn't happen. Young individuals, young boys or young women, mainly as boys, they want to live forever, they free, they have this energy and desire to be stronger and stronger, sometimes going too far. And the simple knowledge, basic knowledge of biology and cold exposure might save life, or your loved ones. So that's why I want you to create this awareness. Everyone who want to practice or practice not already cold exposure, they can probably need to do some extra testing to make sure they are not under the danger. So, mitochondria is an organism coming through a lot of different biochemical processes. So I'm not going to go in depth in here, but I want to explain it's a chain process. So it's not instant process. It's taking time you to see the result. But what benefits you can see when you practice cold exposure. First of all is energy and alertness, because you get produce more dopamine and norepinephrine. Simple as that. So if you feel unmotivated, if you feel a little bit depressed, if you feel that there's no interest in life, start maybe practicing a slowly cold exposure. Metabolic rate increasing and is shaping your body composition, because your white fat cells get I would say attacked to produce more energy. And of course, we know the white fat cells of obese, for example, people, when they have a lot of fat, they're lazy. Yeah, so if we're talking about normal lean person, the fat cells much more active comparison to obese person. And the difference is they have the same amount of fat cells. Me, as a lean person or somebody overweight or obese, the difference will be my fat cells will be tiny little one, and their fat cells will be huge. As a result, the huge fat cells missing signaling because they've been lost. Yeah, the signal not strong enough. And what's happening in these moments that fat cells still need nutrition, yeah, but blood vessels far away, all the nutrition far away. And what's happening, these fat cells getting start panicking. They have anxiety that nutrition too far, they're too big, but blood vessels too far, and they start to produce this inflammation signal. Help, SOS, I don't have the food, don't have nutrition. Comparison to the little fat cells, yeah, so there is not a lot of fat, because they know actually nutrition comes around and they're much more chilled. So if you want to live longer, inflammation biomarkers, they're number one. So what happened with the heat, with the cold exposure? Actually, everyone gets under the stress, including with fat cells, because it's and they get a little bit more activated. Yeah, so they get a little bit use the resources to produce this energy, because the sugar goes down. And an inflammation process coming down. So if you are suffering from being overweight or from obesity, it's a good stuff for you to start practicing cold exposure, because you will reduce the signaling from your desperate fat cell, because we're at no capacity, you're as bursting and no space, and bless them, they're already thinking they're dying because nobody consuming them. Originally, fat cells, we need that cell, is reservoir for energy for winter time, for the cold exposure, actually, So for the stressful time, and usually the stressful time is winter, upcoming winter, So cold, stress, when we need this energy to thrive, to run, to work harder. An organism using this storage, but then the fat cells getting very big and never being utilized. So we're not flexible. Organism not flexible, not using these fat cells. They just grow. They start panic. And then panicking, SOS signals of inflammation. Please help, SOS. So what it does, when it's switching this cold process, the signaling, getting a little disturbed because different priorities, and these fat cells getting active, finally getting a little bit more active, and precipitating in metabolism, in survival. So they will be more chilled, more relaxed. There is a light in the end of the black tunnel. So the mood and stress resilience, and of course insulin sensitivity. So what happened? And attention. Hypoglycemic people, somebody like me who suffers from hypoglycemia or reactive hypoglycemia, who are low in sugar, who's shivering, who are constantly hungry, and whatever sugar drops, so we're feeling cold, shaky, and cold sweat. So, because when you explore yourself in the cold, you need this energy, and you use a lot of this sugar. So if you have diabetes, it's great, because you get more insulin sensitive and your organism taking this extra sugar out of the bloodstream, so it's great. But if you're hypoglycemic like me, be careful. Make sure you eat like a hamster. You have some food before and you have some food with you, because you might suffer and you might go and see quite fast drop in your sugar levels. So that's why I want to pay attention. Please don't think if you're slim, if you're lean, it's great, amazing. Please check your blood sugar levels, because continue glucose monitoring for hypoglycemic people, because it's very hard to catch your lows, yeah, so and how you react to the sugar. And I want to create extra awareness because a lot of people, a lot of lean people have reactive hypoglycemia or hypoglycemia and then leaving even not being aware about it. I'm hypersensitive to insulin, I'm super insulin sensitive, however I'm still suffering from reactive hypoglycemia and I'm hypoglycemic. For me, cold exposure might be quite dangerous and I need to be very careful like anyone else. So that's why I'm always dressing up warm and hot tea and something to eat. So, but if you have diabetes, controlled, that might be super beneficial for me. It's beneficial for everyone, yeah, but some people need to be a little bit more careful because when it's cold, we need energy and the sugar is number one level. So first of all, organism is still trying to get the sugar from out of bloodstream. And then because it's not enough, clearly, because it's too cold, depends on environment and cold exposure, then they start to use resources, yeah. Please know that if you're overweight, or if you are suffer from diabetes, diabetic people also might go into hypoglycemia, and that is the risk. To be honest, is number one risk for people with uncontrolled sugar. Yeah, so that's why I want to make it more evident. So mood and stress resilience. Why? Because it's stress by definition. If it's controlled and you know how to exit the stress, you're getting more resilient to stress. So that's why any single stress we're going through, the control, we know what we are doing, they're getting more resilient. And it's a great pain control. I'm going to talk about amazing tests. So stay with me, listen to this lecture to the end to understand how emotional pain and physical pain resistant you are and how you can increase it. And cold exposure is number one, is a very good predictor of the pain and how you react to the pain, including your emotions. And if you're hypersensitive, for example, sensitive to, I don't know, on tearful, and you feel your mood going up and down, and it's sensitive to information from others, so it's easy to hurt you physically in terms of pain, sensitivity, and emotionally. So we need to work on it, and we can do that. We can reduce it, and there is a test. You can do the test, you can record your results, then you can do cold exposure. So stay with me to the end of the lecture, and I'm gonna we'll go through together this amazing test, and you can even share result. I'm done it. I'm fascinated and adore. That's why I want to share it with you. Okay. So what cold exposure, what methods we have are part of a day and night, summer and winter, but we have a water, air and cryo. Of course, cryo is the most expensive, the most posh. If you go into very expensive longevity clinics or longevity spas, there's a cryo rooms with minus 110 degrees and you go over 2-3 minutes, you pay a lot of money for that. And the thinking actually it's great. It is great, but the least beneficial, the least. The cheapest options is water, and it's one of the best. So that's why cold water immersion is one of the strongest and in 25 times more efficient in comparison to the air. And the cryo actually is expensive for luxury. Environment luxury spas actually the least efficient, but it's great experience and very well advertised. But please know that water exposure and swim or cold shower would be the most beneficial for you, because water conducts heat 25 times faster in comparison to the air, and the strongest stimulus for a given temperatures. So small volume, you can make your bath, just a tube bath with your coldest water in the tap. So it might be, I don't know, it depends on the season. If you want a little bit colder, you can make these ice tubes and freeze them and maybe put a few of them into your bath, and depend on your discomfort. Please, we need to understand, I'm going to talk a little bit later what discomfort means for you, but we all have this different discomfort, and the cold means different, the same as a sweet difference for everyone, salt, spice, and any taste, including the temperatures. So and that will be actually the best stimulus for a brown fat cells activation. And so cold air exposure, so it's running, exercising outdoors, winter is coming, or during autumn or early morning, there's a bit more shivery. Please don't overdress yourself, and the running, exercising outdoor in the fresh cold air might be quite beneficial for you during winter time or colder time. But be careful, as I said, safety comes first. And acclimatization here is a key. So make sure you do not jumping into freeze, because it might be quite dangerous if you are not prepared or you have underlying medical condition. So how cold is cold? So practical temperature guide, we all have different understanding of cold. So of course it really depends on your age, on your male or female. For women it might be very different, depends her menstrual cycle. For the men as well is his age, for women of course as well, and physical, your body shape and your level of your training, of your muscles, your metabolism, again is your sugar. So many different parameters we need to look at. So but for, we call the cold is when you it's cold, discomfortable, and you want a little bit warmer. So that's why we want to start from half a minute to 90 seconds to start with. In this for you, yeah. So you got the shower. You said the shower is a little bit cold, yeah, and you stay there for half a minute, from half a minute, maybe 1 minute and a half, and then slowly you can make it a little bit colder to progress these cooling temperatures. But 15-20 degrees is for beginners. It's I would say a little bit chilled or lukewarm, a little bit like a little bit chillish, around 20 degrees. It's fine. We can tolerate majority of us this temperature, even somebody like me. So moderate will be from 10 to 14 degrees, so that already quite cold. Intermediate and strong stimulus for 6 minutes. Around 20 degrees, it can stay for 3 to 10 minutes. So it's quite safe for majority of us. So 15 to 20 degrees shower is like a cold shower. Yeah, I can tolerate only, not in winter I can't. For me, in summertime, yes, I can, but in winter, it's a killer. So intermediate, so be from 10 to 14 degrees. Make sure you don't overstay, usually from 2 to 6 minutes. And cold is anything that's under 10 degrees. And that is not recommended for people who is not trained. So make sure you don't have any underlying conditions. And after that, you do properly recovering after the cold temperature that's under 10 degrees. So make sure you dress up, you have warming up properly after any cold procedure, because it's discomfort, it's a stress for your organism. So what's happening if you do this shock? So for example, it's nice environment and boom, boom, it's very cold. Remember, it was some people, it was very popular, ice bucket. That was a shock. That definitely, you're sitting here, you already scared. Remember these videos, these memes? I don't know how many years ago it was the ice bucket trend, and everybody doing this cold. A lot of people get ill after that. Because it's very important. Yes, this is a cold shock, and they produce the cold shock proteins. So what are they, cold shock? Because that's a shock. Everything was fine, and then boom, boom, you have a cold water on the front of you, in the whole body. And we have more research, of course, in animals, and we have limited research in human beings so far. But we know that might affect on the cognitive function, and because improving sleep, metabolic regulation, and not yet guarantee for neuroregenerative properties. But we know that the cold shock proteins are beneficial for us. So that's why sometimes if you walking is very hot, and don't jump in the cold water a little bit, and you go swim very quickly, you create this shock environment for your organism. And of course, in this shock environment, your cold shock proteins get released, and you get your brain getting a little bit activated. Actually, it's quite beneficial if you like. So it's a cold shock proteins. So now, safety. Safety comes first, because sadly, as I said before, I heard sadly of one boy from the school when my kids attend died from age of 20, being over experienced, over practicing uncontrolled and unsupervised cold exposure, and he died at the age of 20. That death could be easily avoidable. First of all, rule number one, never go to the cold waters alone. Always be with someone who able to help you and will be by your side. Is number one. Never combine breath holds and hyperventilation in water. If you feel it will be more beneficial for you, that's just risk for unexpected death. So never, as I said, drink alcohol or any substances, and never practice cold exposure, because you might respond your heart and your muscles. So it's dangerous to respond. Again, make sure you have someone by your side. Yeah. So don't practice, don't drink, and don't think that you will get these cold proteins, cold proteins will produce, or you'll be getting better. No, it's a danger. And of course, warm up straight away after. So as a physical activity, dry clothing, warm it up, nice warm tea. You have to warm up in recovery after cold exposure, super crucial. And what is the most important is a medical condition. Make sure you know your cardiovascular disease. And as I said before, one of the number one of energy production is your sugar level. People who believe, as me, for 40 years, I knew I'm hypoglycemic, but I didn't know how badly reactive hypoglycemic I am. I want to create awareness, and everyone should know and exclude hypo and reactive hypoglycemia, because that creates a lot of mood changes, a lot of anxiety, and with age can bring us to different diseases, including diabetes. So hyperactive hypoglycemia and hypoglycemia is as dangerous as other medical conditions. Is the way we don't know where it's happening. For me, it's genetics. 75% I have a lot of genes saying that I'm hypoglycemic and I have low visceral fat. So it's great news. I always stay fit and slim because of my hypoglycemia, reactive hypoglycemia, but also danger. So please find out. I won't exclude this condition from you. So if you're slim, if you're lean naturally, so please check, make sure you don't have reactive hypoglycemia. Again, it's not only lean people. Everyone can have reactive hypoglycemia, including diabetic people. Sadly, a lot of people have this condition, and I want to create awareness. Now we have such amazing tools like continuous glucose monitoring that they can exclude that. And even if you have that, it's absolutely fine to practice cold exposure, but we need to do it right away and with precautions. So hypertension is high blood pressure, arrhythmias, Raynaud's disease, neuropathy, cold urticaria. Then you go these, allergic or cold exposure. My very good friend, she's allergic. Any cold, any wind, she get red. All her body. Sometimes you need to cool down the body and trying to cool the air and something. And she often need medication. Cold exposure is not that great for this type of people, and there are more than we think. So if you name them, if you know them, make sure you don't practice or be careful, because that can cause more inflammation and more damage than benefits. So hormesis, this is a process than anything toxic or anything harmful in low dosage getting beneficial. And this is the cold exposure is all about. So if it's too much and for too long and the wrong person, that might kill us. But under control or under hermetic window, this is the time and exposure. And they all have these different numbers. We have different temperatures, different timing, and different lengths of exposure might be beneficial, and different conditions. Terms and conditions here apply. So we're talking about duration of exposure, of temperature of exposure, your health status and your age, and baseline metabolic flexibility. How flexible you are, how healthy you are to practice that. Because if you're not fit perfectly well, they might be quite drastic and very dangerous experience. So, who should get medical clearance first? So, of course, I would say, a reactive hypoglycemic person can say everybody should check, first of all, energy production is your glucose level. Glucose level, 2 weeks, please make sure, because without that, you don't know where you stand day and night. How you respond to the food, how to respond to temperature, and how your body, then you're distressed, how your body responds to the stress. Yeah, because continuous glucose monitoring, great tool. You can get so much information after that. So first of all is energy, your sugar. Secondly is hypertension. How about your blood pressure? So if you have a low blood pressure, that's great. It's absolutely fine. If you have a high blood pressure, be careful, because what's happening, your blood vessel shrinks, yeah, and increasing blood pressure. Heart diseases, arrhythmias, because again, you got to get triggered and you have even worse. Diabetes or unstable blood sugar, yes, so we discussed. I would say it's number one. As I said, for me, it's number one because I think all the problems coming from energy production and heat here is energy production anyway. So energy, glucose, number one, yeah. So insulin, glucose. Obesity, because obese person have list and unexpected issues uncovered because they need it the most. Yeah. So as I said, the fat cells crying and SOS screaming for this metabolic practice, them to be used, and they inflammation process to be reduced. So they're number one, of course, but certainly we need to make sure if you overweight and your BMI higher than should be, make sure you're fit. Yeah, make sure you don't have any sugar issues and you're healthy in terms of blood pressure and the thyroid glands, for example. Raynaud syndrome, chronic fatigue, or adrenal gland. Adrenal glands might be different exposures in cortisol, Cushing's syndrome, respiratory as well, other respiratory issues, asthma, for example. And of course, if you're pregnant, you don't try anything. You just carry on your lifestyle as before. So, physiological benefits is building resilience. So cold exposure is both physical and, most important, is mental. Why mental? Everything when you practice using our energy in and out, we're practicing putting ourselves under control stress is, I would say, we know that, I would say, controlled and so I forgot this word. Then by your own will, you go and expose yourself to stress. You know you'll be stressful, but you control, you do it safe way, and you recover after that. Is all beneficial. It doesn't matter what type of stress it is, yeah? Even you're going to argue with your boss, you know, when you get prepared to say, okay, it's 2 minutes of argument, yeah? When you know will be recovery after that, you know what to do, and then you recover. It's also be beneficial for mental health. Any single stress, yeah, is beneficial if it's controlled, short period of the time, and follow a good recovery. So you voluntarily step into discomfort and you learn and remain calm. So here is very important to understand nothing wrong going to happen. You know what to expect. You know how your body reacts. You feel your body and you get connected to your body. You feel every single cell. You feel like, oh yeah, my blood pressure going up, my heart starts to beat more, you know, and you have these feelings. You understand all the processes, what's going on. You'll be so much stronger and so much better health later on. Is teach nervous system and self-regulation. So in terms of nervous system, I would say amazing. Just try it. If you have anxiety or depression, it's great. The cold shower, you know, this or running under the rain, you know, this cold rain. I've been under the rain. It was great. I just took a good umbrella. I worked with my son, and it started the huge rain. It was middle of nowhere, so I have to walk for half an hour, and all 20 minutes I was under the rain. I was soaking wet. So that's a great experience. It's I would say unexpected cold exposure, because temperatures was around maybe temperature drops up to maybe 17 degrees or 15 degrees. It was soaking wet. But what I want to say, this drop of rain here, or the drop of shower, they dropping on you everywhere, in your face, in your lips, in your shoulders, and you feel it. It's stimulation of your whole central nervous system. And it's a calming effect. So yeah, it's really stressful, but if you practice in it and you know that after that you have a nice recovery, so I knew in 10 minutes I'll be back home, I took the nice warm bath, the hot tea and recovered, and I quite enjoyed it. So, but you can do it with a shower head, you can make it more intense. This quite large drops of water, yeah, intense, and then then you jump out of your body, yeah, boom, 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 and stay like that. Even a little bit colder, so you can feel every single drop of the water. It's great for your anxiety, it's great for your depression, it's great for your mental well-being. Just trying to practice and record what you feel, and record how that energizes you, yeah. Cold bath is great for general well-being, but these drops they come and stimulating your face and your head and your body is a great experience, so try it. It's teaching nervous system to self-regulate as well, and it's helping us to be more resilient for the pain. We're going to talk about the pain resilience and the pain threshold test later on. And of course, is build up discipline. So if you're making this into routine, you will see the cold showers in the morning or cold exposure, volunteering, build up your resilience, and you eventually you go with your success, yeah, because you plan it and you discipline yourself and you simply do it. Combine cold, of course, exposure of different longevity tools. Longevity tools is everything what we used to do years ago. So it's no news. You know what is no new? It just other ancestors and grandparents, great-grandparents, they simply haven't got enough food because the food was expensive, not available, and they have everything now. So it's intermittent fasting because not always you have a full table for food. The resilience trainings, they haven't got cars, they was using horses and trying to jump on the horse nowadays, and trying to ride the horse, and they haven't got cars. You know what? It was horse, a donkey that you need to negotiate, you have emotionally be connected, you need to look after that, and you have to, being a little bit more active comparison to nowadays, how we travel. So physical activity, resilience training, cold exposure, the heating was much less available, electricity wasn't there, so when people heat, what they do, they bring different woods or coals, it depends on them when we're talking about, but yes, the energy and cold exposure was regular. So all this forgotten thing on our grandparents was living and practicing just because of their poverty. They're called longevity tools. So lack of food, yeah, hot and cold exposure, resilience on being physically active, and sleep optimization. Because when you're tired, yeah, when you ride the horse, when you're starving and then you get your food, you know what, you usually have much better sleep. And of course, all that promoting longevity. So what before was part of the daily life, now it's become very expensive longevity advice. So it's not expensive, it's super cheap. It's saving up the money, and if you want to improve your health, live longer, just consuming too much, yeah, and come back and probably listen to stories or look in the pictures of the past. Medical consideration is great still. We're proud of it. Living nowadays, we have so much medicine and they can save so many lives, and we can live so much better lives comparison in terms of pain, in terms of suffering. They progress so much. Don't think I'm against of modern life and in modern technologies now. I'm only supporting everything, but I want to combine and create this create this balance between the life, something very cheap, and modern technologies. Combine them together to have a beautiful, long, balanced life with less suffer and less pain. So, considerations, as I said, number one, considerations is hypoglycemia and blood sugar dysregulations. Everybody checked, every one without exception. I would love to. Could increase glucose utilization and in muscles and in brown fat cells. So that's why in brown adipose tissue, so because everybody needs to produce this energy, everybody needs to warm up everybody, and the shivering, the process when you're cold, it's a lot. You can imagine, that's a lot of energy. Still, even to shake something, anyone, this baby shake or any shakers, that's a lot of energy. We need electricity for that, and our body producing that. As a result, the sugar drops through incredibly down, yeah. So that's why diabetic, you might have a crash, hypoglycemia, and reactive hypoglycemic people, you will crash as well. So expect that. Have a sugar or eat before, or have like a hamsters. They always have a little bit nut on the cheek. So have something and eat something, then you'll be more protected. So you'll survive. Might cause blood sugar drops rapidly, so be careful. So that's why eat light, balanced meat, a lot of fat and proteins, and monitor, of course, your blood sugar. If you're feeling unwell, stop immediately and know what's going on with you. So diabetes, first and second type, of course, type number 1, the extra risk, but again, it doesn't matter in which type, because it might have a risk of hypoglycemia, as we discussed. Make sure you start slowly, and a risk of frostbite and numbness, and never do it alone, because a diabetic person is already a medical condition. Still consult a endocrinologist maybe if you don't know how to start. And but again, reactive hypoglycemic or hypoglycemic, usually people, they're not like, there's no treatment for us. We have to adapt to lifestyle. We have to follow a very strict lifestyle. Officially, there is no treatment. But don't eat too much sugar. Yeah, don't eat sugar. So actually, is eat a sugar and then don't eat sugar. So this is do whatever you want. Be creative. That's my type. Okay, high blood pressure. So hypertension, if you already arrived to have a high blood pressure, you probably have some extra problems on the way, on the journey, how to arrive, and you have underlying more things to consider. So please find out what exactly causing your high blood pressure, or for how long that's already been. And have we discussed already, be careful, never create this shock. Yeah, all these shocks, proteins, never jump in super cold water, never be in alarm. You're at risk to sudden death, yeah, because stroke, heart attack, or anything else, because the cold exposure temporarily spike your blood pressure, goes even higher. And I know we recommend cold exposure in the morning for the waking up, and because cortisol goes up as well, high blood pressure goes up, and blood pressure already quite high in the morning. So that's why if you did that more, make sure it's not too much shock for yourself. Usually blood pressure coming back within 10-15 minutes to baseline, to even if it was high in 10-15 minutes. So it's worth as well to see. Yeah. So if you even normal, do the test, take your blood pressure before cold exposure, just straight away after, so you'll see it's raising up. Yeah, and after 15 minutes, because we want you to go to the baseline. That means actually it's quite safe. Everything as on the booklet how it should be. But if not, again, be careful. Yeah, be careful. Maybe consult your healthcare professional, and to find the reason why you're not coming back to the baseline, or what's triggering a long response, and maybe it's not right for you, or you need to slow down and make it a little bit less intensive. Yeah. So recovery is very important as well. Warm to cold progressions very slowly after the cold. Again, don't jump into a very hot environment. It might be dangerous, mainly for people with heart issues and high blood pressure. After cold exposure, don't go to the sauna directly. Yeah, warm up slowly. Yeah, first with a towel, warming up, maybe some sort of very light movement, warming, and then only increase the temperature slowly. Never jump from cold to very hot straight away. Yeah, straight away. So make sure it's gradual. Yeah. Cardiac condition, of course, arrhythmias and angina are very dangerous. So we need to definitely do it very, very slowly. Warm to cool water is safer, and of course make sure you have someone about yourself to avoid any any further surprises or any further conditions. Thyroid imbalance. Cold exposure might stimulate thyroid hormones, T3 and T4, and metabolism. So it's quite great and beneficial, but if you beneficial for hypothyroidism, but if you hyper, it might be concerning, and you need to take this in account, and maybe worth to discuss this with your healthcare provider, of your doctor. So we're starting with overdoing it. So sadly, if we love, we love. If we fight, we fight. And if we go for longevity, they don't know the limit. And we can do overdo. We can do over exercise. Everything was stimulated. Sometimes we can easily overdo it. So, and the sign what you overdo your cold exposure is persistent fatigue. You get really tired and you lose this energy. You don't have energy. You are somewhat depressed. You have a poor sleep, low motivation. So your dopamine not goes up, it goes down. You frequently colds. So your metabolic system, your immune system dropping down, you get ill quite often, and your recovery take very long time. Your shivering lasts longer than 15 minutes, your recovery is taking a long time, and you have anxiety or some sort of panic attack. So actually you're out of range. So that's mean stop immediately. So if you notice you're practicing something, you notice that type of symptoms, you're absolutely out of order, and you need to go for repairs. Yeah, we need to find out what causing it, because yes, might be together with cold exposure, but it's warning. Yeah, it's worrying, and we need to find out what causing that and start to go for recovery, and one by one symptom if you notice any of them. So what we expect timeline and benefits from cold exposure. And in terms of time, immediate is energy rush. Yes, so first of all, as we said, your organism is using a lot of glucose. Yeah, first of all, using a lot of glucose. It means it goes somewhere, and it's coming from producing this energy and heat. Yeah, so the heat is still a form of energy. As a vasoconstriction, you have more alertness, and you have this in action, I would say. So we do something. After 1 week, improved tolerance is less shock, is more focus. So you notice that you start notice slowly beneficial. After 1 month, your mitochondria start to kick. Remember this. You probably become warmer, you have a little bit higher, more in energy, because your mitochondria, after 1 month, they start already killing, they have mitochondrial business there, and it's taking approximately 1 hour, 1 month, but it should be consistent. So yeah, it's one off probably not enough. You should do it maybe 3 to 5 times a week for 1 month to see the result. But if you do one, what you do, you create this shock proteins might be beneficial, but consistency, of course, important to see the energy and to do it more regularly. So I'm talking about consistent, regular cold exposure. Maybe not every day. I don't recommend to do anything every single day. No, not at all. I recommend 3, maybe maximum 5 times a week. Depends. It might be cold water or cold air or cryo. Different types of cold exposures. Yeah. After 3 months, you might notice already enhanced insulin sensitivity. So people with unstable glucose, with diabetes type 2, for example, you might notice that you smoother mood, less fatigue, and that actually, people with diabetes, I can tell you that 75% of diabetes are reversible. So, and the cold exposure is one of them. Very beneficial together, intermittent fasting, low carbs diet, physical activity, and cold exposure is one of them in the list to treat your diabetes. Yeah, 75% of people who has diabetes might be out of medication if we do it right way, if we under good supervision and good support. It's amazing how our organism, so thankful, mitochondria as well, so great, and organism so flexible. Well, they're Play-Doh. They're absolute Play-Doh. We should be so grateful to the God, the Creator, so flexible, and we are shaping ourselves. We creating our health. Yeah, just we need a little bit more knowledge, a little bit more support, and everything will be just amazing, so much better. So after 6 months, mitochondria regenerated already, vascular health, the new blood vessels start to bring more blood supply, so get more resistant, more stable, and it's cold temperatures as well, because I have more vascularization. Yeah, so it's producing and stimulating as well with new blood vessels. Yeah, because we need this warming up, and it's constant, it's regular, it's already every quite a long time for 6 months, and they help as well with lasting vitality, longevity, yes, and resilience, and in general, of course, well-being, because more alive blood vessels, the skin looks better. Yeah, so all the ladies, if you want, probably ladies know it's very beneficial to have a cold water on the face. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, because skin as well is cold water, icy water, flaming, yeah, bright skin, and better assist the white, because this is what happened after 6 months. Just be patient, do it for 6 months. Yeah, so wash your face of cold icy water every morning if you can't take the shower, because the ice raise and you actually will be quite awake as well. So décolletage made up to here, that will be already newly shower, I would say. But yes, after 6 months of practicing 5 times a week, you might, ladies, notice that your skin get more elastic, is more resilient, more brighter color, and regenerated. So it's cheap. You don't need to pay cosmetologist, aesthetic practitioner, thousands of pounds for the same effect, but you need to be patient and consistent. So now my favorite is a cold pressor pain threshold test. Okay, so I learned about this about emotion test, about emotional well-being and emotional pain. And you can imagine emotional pain and physical pain is the same circuit in the brain. And it's very important, so how sensitive you are and how much pain, emotional pain you will hold is linked directly to your physical pain. It's the same circuit. And so there's different words. Our brain doesn't distinguish is emotional pain with the physical pain. So that's why when you have a bad relationships, bad emotions, and your emotions not regulated, you feel so much more pain. Yeah, it's all linked. Our body, mind, and pain, and the way how we perceive the world, all linked. So that's why cold pain threshold test will be able to advise you how sensitive you are, and cold exposure will help you with that, getting less pain in your life, yeah, and being less pain in other people's lives as well. Sometimes you might be pain in one place. Just be pain, not only for yourself, but for others. And then you're more resilient, you are less pain. So what we do? So here, participants, we're talking about the icy water. It's 4 degrees, originally from 1 to 4 degrees, in any water from the fridge. So I can put this in the fridge. And you will need a timer. You can use your mobile phone as a timer. And we want to measure. Well, originally I have 2 options. You can use one finger, so it's not this finger, or you can put whole arm. Yeah, it's not dominant. So if you're right-handed, it should be left hand. If you're left hand, use right hand, and or finger, or the forearm. I use a finger, but you might use the arm, full arm if you not full arm. I mean the wrist. So, and you also can check your blood pressure. Outside blood pressure will be more effective if you put a little bit more, more in water, yeah, and heart rate, blood pressure, skin colors, and we were talking about the pain. We want you to rank your pain from 1 to 10, approximately what you feel, and safety hand must be removed, whatever. Doesn't matter, it is after 180 seconds maximum. So it's 3 minutes maximum. Even if you can't tolerate the pain, please get your hand off or finger out of cold water. Yeah, so because you might induce any injury, it's dangerous. So don't do that. And ideally, don't do it alone. Again, any test, because if you wanted, probably somebody more reasonable than you will advise you 3 minutes max. Yeah, even if you can tolerate, you taking your hand out 180 seconds, and you warm up your hand or you warm up your finger or your massages and you're wearing warm gloves. Recovery here is essential. So what you do, take a timer, you can record it, you can have somebody next to you, and you put your finger or your hand in the cold water, and you just stay there for how many seconds you feel the pain and how quickly you take it out. So less than 20 seconds, you have very low tolerance to the pain. It's extreme sensitivity. Immediate withdrawal literally is less than 20 seconds. Is often anxious or uncontrolled individuals. So here we need attention and find out. You need a training and to understand it's not only, as I say, physical pain and emotional pain, they're all linked. The people who can cope physical pain, they won't be able to cope emotional. And people who can cope emotionally, so the emotionally anxious people, they usually might also be less more sensitive in terms of physical pain. So 20 to 40 seconds is low tolerance. So if you notice is within 20 to 30 seconds, pain felt as severe, withdrawal needed quite early in common and untrained individuals. 40 to 90 seconds is moderate tolerance, average range of most healthy adults. So if you've done your 90 seconds is 1.5 minutes, so you're strong, quite average person. 90 to 180 seconds is high tolerance. So don't do more than that. Don't practice more than 3 minutes. If you can more longer, first of all, we don't practice. Yeah, so if you know you're already perfectly well, you tolerate 180 seconds, that's great. Well-related pain control and emotional resilience, often seen in athletes and court trained subjects. I would say I was quite good in this test, and I remember doing a labor. My doctor, when I got contraction, my doctor, obstetrician, asked what type of contractions I have. Yeah, they're bearable. And actually, it was the labor contraction. And then he said, don't say anyone that they're bearable. Yours in the labor contraction was super painful. You just have very high pain threshold. And it's true that at my test, I was in the high tolerance pain. And again, that so many different factors involved in that. And what the good thing is, with cold exposure, you train your body and you train yourself to this cold exposure. So you get emotionally more stronger. And emotion here is super important during the stressful life. Yeah, and here why it's important test. You can Google it. You can see. You can read more about it and practice it. And emotions, we can't see them. And when they hurt, it's the same as a physical pain. It's the same somebody punch you. It's the same, and it's the same emotion. They rude when we argue, when we don't forgive, and we leave someone we don't like, or they do the job. They're causing us a lot of emotional pain, and this emotional pain affects us. We don't see it, and sometimes I can't even name it because emotional pain. There's so many of them. Yeah, it's not only somebody punching you physically. It's the same. For the brain, it's the same. You can imagine somebody hurting you, punching you every single day. And this is for you doing the job that you hate. For you, it's living with the people you don't love, or you argue every single day. Somebody, it's the same, like being hurt physically every single day. But we don't notice that. So that's why I wish you all resistance, all resilience. I wish you all being strong and physically and mentally. Practice safely your cold exposure. See the benefits. If you suffer from severe pain or long-term pain, that's why it's a great tool to be more resistant to your pain and improve your pain management. Only if you have these conditions and you truly need help, please approach the healthcare professionals. We are trained for you. We are for you to help to make this life better. Do you know that 80% of visits to the doctors might be avoided? Might be avoided if you just remembered and start to live as the grandparents lived 100 years ago. That's it for today.